In the aftermath of revolution and civil war, the Soviet Union was in ruins. Famine gripped the countryside, industry had collapsed. Lenin faced a terrifying reality. His dream of socialism was crumbling. The solution? Well, a radical shift back towards capitalism. This was the new economic policy. Let's rewind to 1917. The Bolsheviks had seized power in the October Revolution, promising peace, bread, and land. But by 1921, their promises were wearing thin. The country was ravaged by civil war. Millions were dead, cities were depopulated, peasants were angry at hated requisition squads, and the economy, it was in collapse. During the Civil War, the Bolsheviks introduced War Communism. It meant state control of everything: factories, food, transportation. Peasants had their grain requisitioned by force. Workers were told where to work, and money became worthless. But the system bred chaos and resentment. The Peasant Tambov Rebellion involved over 20,000 peasants and was a huge threat to the Soviet state. The 1921 Kronstadt Rebellion was led by sailors who had once supported the October Revolution. This was a real wake up call. Lenin knew he had to act or lose power. So, what was the NEP? Well, in March 1921, Lenin announced a dramatic policy shift, the New Economic Policy, or NEP. It was meant to be temporary, a tactical retreat to rebuild the economy. NEP reforms included grain requisition being replaced with a tax in kind. Peasants could actually now sell their surplus food. It reintroduced this element of free market principle. Small businesses were reopened, private ownership was allowed in retail and small industry, private trade returned, and money was reintroduced. Workers were paid wages again. The state still controlled the commanding heights, as Lenin called it, the heavy industry, the banks, the foreign trade. However, small businesses and farms could be privately owned and managed in order to produce a profit. Experts were brought in from abroad to try to help make factories more efficient. In short, the NEP created a mixed economy: socialism at the top, capitalism at the bottom. What was the impact of the NEP then? Well, the NEP worked. By 1928, agricultural production had rebounded, grain production had almost doubled, markets were lively again, cities recovered, a new class of wealthy peasants, the kulaks, emerged. So did NEPmen, NEPmen, private traders who made fortunes selling goods. But the policy also had its critics. Hardline communists were horrified to see profiteering and inequality. Some called it a betrayal of Marxism. And while small industries flourished, heavy industry lagged behind. The state still struggled to modernise the country on a large scale. The shortage of industrial products kept them expensive while food became cheaper. This was called the scissors crisis, as peasants simply stopped producing as much food due to falling prices, and this led to fears of famine. The NEP was controversial and led to splits. For peasants and traders, it was popular, especially for kulaks, who were able to do particularly well. But most peasants were happier with the freedom to sell rather than having their crops requisitioned. However, for die-hard communists, the NEP was a compromise and a backward step too far, bringing back hated elements of capitalism. So, what brought the NEP to an end? Well, Lenin died in 1924 and power struggles followed, and in time, Joseph Stalin emerges as the leader. He had absolutely no love for the NEP. In 1928, Stalin abolished the NEP and launched the first 5 year plan. Private enterprise was crushed, the state returned to total control, collectivization began, and the NEP era was over. So, why does it matter? Well, the NEP shows Lenin as a pragmatist. Faced the collapse, he chose compromise over ideology. It was a bold, temporary fix, but it also revealed deep tensions within the revolution. So, what do you think? Was the NEP a betrayal, or was it a brilliant move for survival? Let us know in the comments. Many thanks for watching Belfast High History, and don't forget to subscribe for more history explained.